Hello everybody, welcome back to the Yotso Tech Tracks YouTube channel. I wanted to share something with the viewers regarding my 2016 Ram 1500 pickup truck. As mentioned from previous videos, whether you're watching first time or not, I am in the process of piecing together an inexpensive 2 to 4 inch suspension lift kit for this truck. It is a 2016 Ram 1500 four-wheel drive crew cab 5.5 foot box with the V8 Hemi engine. I have gone with these spacers that go on the front coilover assembly. These were manufactured in China, like a lot of things nowadays, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Basically, this go right on top of the coilover assembly. You have to remove the whole front suspension regarding the upper mounts, and this bolts right on top of it, as you can see, with the factory 3 bolts that were mounted to the frame. Now this will extend the height. Because of the design of this suspension, this spacer does not have to be 2 inches for you to achieve a 2-inch lift. This is measured at about 1.25 inch, but the geometry of the suspension places this roughly halfway along the lower control arm, so about twice the lift you will get out of these. The reason I've gone with something like this, as mentioned in previous videos, because I'm only looking for a small lift, because this truck came from the factory riding very low. I'm still very far away from having problems with the CV angles. Everything looks very parallel now, so even if I do install this 2-inch lift, I don't see any major issues happening. Of course, every time you do something like this, you are going to put greater stress on components, and one of those components is going to be the CV drive shafts, because they like to be very straight, and CV boots are the first things that are going to go. However, I have no problem with that, because for myself, I foresee doing that in the near future anyway. It's not something that's going to last the life of the vehicle, so if this does shorten the life of those boots a little bit, so be it. It's not a big deal for me changing them out. It takes very little time. It's a very straightforward process. If ever I have to do that, I will show you all how to do that. Very easy, very simple. Basically, I believe it's a 34mm nut from the front hub you remove. Upper control arm ball joint or uniball, which I'm going to install on this truck, is going to be removed, and the drive shaft pretty much slips out and the new one goes in. So that's not a big deal. This does seem to be a really high quality piece. It's supposed to be anodized billet aluminum. These socket head cap screws that came with the product does have a class 12.9 rating, so I don't see any problems with these. I've never had any experience with breaking these fasteners. Seems to be about 10mm in diameter, so these seem to be very sturdy. The only reason these bolts are for locating purposes, to keep this from moving. There's not a lot of stress on them, and again, this is mostly having a compression force on it when the vehicle's weight is on it. So I've even had plastic spacers in the past on previous vehicles, perhaps not as heavy as this Ram pickup truck, but then again, those parts have never failed me. I've measured those previous lift kits, and the plastic never compressed on me. So this billet aluminum should be very durable. It should hold up to the elements really well. As I mentioned, it's anodized, it looks nice, it's machined properly, there's no sharp edges. I will post a link on Amazon. I got a really good deal on these. For example, I've seen different designs that are made of steel, powder coated steel, aluminum, different classes of material they use, but I kept coming back to these because I did get a discount on them, and they don't cost a lot. They were under $50 shipped to my house. It did take a couple of weeks to get them, because as I said, they had to be imported from China, but a lot of parts nowadays come from China anyway, so that's not a bad thing necessarily. The instructions are pretty clear. It's pretty straightforward. You can look up videos on YouTube on how to do this if you're interested. I will bring it close to the camera if anybody can pause the video if you're interested. Very straightforward process. Basically, you disassemble suspension, the old coilover spring assembly comes out, and this sits on top of it, torque down, and away it goes back to where it was, and it will increase the ride height of the vehicle. If people are having trouble finding these, Googling them on the internet, I've noticed that a lot of companies call these strut spacers. However, this Ram truck does not have a strut. Strut is part of the steering and suspension assembly, such as in a MacPherson strut for a front-wheel drive type vehicle. This vehicle actually has a coilover, which is the proper terminology. So these are called coilover spacers. Actually, a coilover spacer is actually a coil spring over shock absorber assembly spacer, which is why it should be called a coilover spacer. That's how you can find these easily. If you type in strut spacer, sometimes these parts do not show up. And as I mentioned, it's pretty straightforward. It's just a block of a machined metal, extends the right height, and of course afterwards you will have to get an alignment. Anytime you disassemble a suspension, you're going to alter camber, caster, toe, and some of those angles are critical for steering and stability, directional control, tire wear, so on and so forth, handling. Always make sure you align your vehicle after. You can check out my previous videos. I do have a set of ProComp Pro Runner front upper control arms that I'm going to be installing, because upgrading to these parts, it's going to put the suspension in an angle where, first of all, the upper ball joints have an issue regarding alignment, and those ball joints are going to be stressed further than factory designed them. So you will make sure to do this properly. You need to get an upper control arm that can handle the range of motion. I've gone with the ProComs because, as I mentioned in previous videos, I did get a really good deal on them, and they seem to be very well designed. They do have FK US made uniballs, very heavy duty, I believe 1.25" uniballs, which are the biggest I can find anywhere that's readily available. And again, shop around. Discounts do pop up, which I always prefer to look at, even though I have to wait a little bit for those discounts. I'm not in a rush. So so far it's very inexpensive, the parts I've pieced together, and I will give you guys more updates. It's still winter outside, it's fairly cold, and I do all my repairs at home. I do not have access to a shop right now. I am a technician, but I do my things at home, which is basic tools I need, and a jack, a couple of ramps, axle stands, and I can pretty much do anything on the driveway with those. I'll walk you guys through those installation videos coming very soon as the weather lets up. I'm eager to get these parts on and take the family camping on adventures, overlanding, touring, whatever you might call it. Just this Ram is a everyday vehicle, so it's going to be best of both worlds. So thank you for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments right down below. I will give a link to this part so other people can check it out. As I mentioned, very inexpensive, very high quality parts. These are designed to last the life of the vehicle. They are not a wear item. Basically, they're just a spacer. So very simple. It should be as reliable as a wood-burning stove. Once you install them, there they are, and they sit there forever. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more content coming. Take care, and bye.